Over the last years, the iPhone has slowly been replacing my mirrorless camera. And while it still can't quite match that level of quality, when I look back at my best shots, most of them actually come from an iPhone. A part of that is obviously due to convenience, but the main reason is that with the right settings and a bit of editing, it can get very close to a mirrorless camera. So in this video, I want to show you the must-have settings and teach you some basic editing. That way, you can go from pictures like these to pictures like these, just after watching this video. So let's start with the camera settings. First, we've got the camera control button, which I've completely turned off, except for launching the camera, because frankly, that's all it's useful for. Then we've got photographic styles. Mine is set to standard because I like to edit the colors myself, and it doesn't work with RAW anyway, which we will be shooting, and I'll show you how to edit it later. In the record video tab, I have set it to 4K 30, which adds a bit of motion blur and gives it a bit of that cinematic camera feel compared to 4K 60, though if you're not planning to watch this footage back on a big screen, I'd recommend you set it to 1K 30 to save a lot of space. If we scroll down, I have enhanced stabilization turned on, which will crop a bit into the video, but give you much more stable footage. Also, I've turned lock white balance on, so the iPhone doesn't shift colors out of the blue just because something in the frame changed. This setting makes iPhone footage look less like a phone, so I definitely recommend having it on. I've also turned auto FPS off because I don't want the iPhone shifting frames when I'm filming. It should all stay as I set it before I press record. That way I know what I'm getting. And as for HDR video, it just doesn't look good in general coming from a smartphone, so for that reason I have it off, as well as the rest. The other video modes I've just left as standard because I genuinely never use them. As for record sound, I've set it to stereo because in my opinion this sounds the best, and I've also enabled wind noise reduction. Now, the most important settings are gonna be in formats. First, we've got high efficiency, which you want to have on. Nowadays, it's not any different in compatibility than the bottom option, but it will save you a lot of space. In photo mode, you can set it to 24 megapixels, which will give you sharper portrait mode shots. Regular photos will be taking in 48 megapixels anyway. Now, the most important setting is Pro RAW and resolution control, and you definitely want to have this on. Also, in Pro RAW format, you want to select JPEG XL Lossy. This is gonna save you lots of space while giving you the best image quality. The lossless one just gives a bit more flexibility in editing, but you're never gonna need it, quite literally. Now, for video capture, I've enabled ProRes, and only because it allows me to shoot log, but if you have an iPhone older than the 15 Pro, this setting will not give you that option, so for that reason, I'd recommend you have it off. The next menu I want to go into is preserve settings. Here, it's very important that you have exposure adjustments and Pro RAW turned on. That way, these settings don't reset every time you open the camera app, which can be very annoying. As for the rest of the settings, it's down to personal preference. For example, I don't like my iPhone switching to the ultra-wide lens on its own to take a macro photo if it thinks that's what I want. I definitely know better what I want, so I've turned it off and preserved that setting, and same goes for night mode. I don't want it randomly turning on and ruining a picture, so I like to preserve it being off by default too. In the composition tab, it's very important that we have grid and level turned on, because photography is mostly just about composing right. That alone will get you 90% there. If you have a bad composition, not even editing will save you. In indicators, I like having everything on, so that way when I'm in the camera app, I don't have to open the settings tab and can just toggle everything on and off with a single tap. As for the fusion camera, I don't like wide lenses, so I have mine set to 35mm. But should I need to go wider without defaulting to the lower quality ultra-wide lens, I've also left the other options on, which I can just access with a tap. The rest of the settings can just be turned on. They're mainly for convenience and don't impact picture quality. Now, if we move to the camera app itself, there's gonna be quite a few things to change in here too. First, we'll start with the exposure setting. Tap it and set it to -0.7. The reason for this is that iPhones love to overexpose images and lift shadows, which looks very unnatural, and it's pretty much what makes phone photos look like phone photos. So to avoid that, we want to underexpose on purpose. Then I have night mode, flash and live photo pretty much always off, because these are very scenario specific. For example, night mode I only use on a tripod and only to capture stars or a still shot in extreme low light, because the camera defaults to 12 megapixels when it's on. So usually shooting RAW at 48 megapixels will give you better image quality than with night mode. Flash I think is self-explanatory, and live photos just don't work with RAW, so for that reason it's always off. When it comes to portrait mode, I prefer not to use it because it limits you to 24 megapixels, but if you want the portrait mode effect, Lightroom can add it to any picture later. So I'd rather take a 48 megapixel photo or an 8x picture and make it a portrait shot later in Lightroom, which is something that the iPhone can't even do. It won't allow you to select the 8x lens or anything in between in portrait mode. Now we're pretty much done with every setting, but before we go into Lightroom, here's some general advice. Make use of a grid by following the rule of thirds. Shoot in soft light and never against the light. Use the 1x lens as much as possible. Shoot in RAW every time you mean to take the best picture. If it's just a casual picture you won't be bothered to edit, deactivate RAW to save space. Avoid portrait mode because it looks unnatural, as well as busy backgrounds, and avoid digital zoom as well as the other lenses as soon as it gets dark. Now let's move on to the editing part. Let's start with this picture. I usually start with a preset of mine, and by the way, there's absolutely no need to buy anything. You can find presets for free online or buy them from reputable photographers. Now that I've selected the preset, I want to go into colors and saturate the yellows, but I also don't want it looking too yellow and unnatural, so I'll bring the hue to the green side and desaturate it a bit so it's not in your face. Next, I want to saturate the oranges to make the gold the main subject in the frame, and I'll also bring back the brightness of the orange because it's a bit overexposed. Then I want to go into blur and add depth to the image for that cinematic big camera look, and instead of subject focus, I'll select range focus. That way, it also adds blur to the background of the image as it tries to simulate depth. I'll then crop the image ever so slightly to make sure the goat is right in the center of the frame, because composition is key. And then we have a fully edited image. Here's the before, and then there's the after. Quite a difference. Let's move on to the next picture. Again, I'll start with one of our presets, and I think the fourth one looks best here. Then I'll saturate the yellows again and make them look greener for a more natural look. The logic here is mostly the same as with the goat. I want to make the horse stand out more, so I'll apply a mask to it and saturate the oranges to make it pop more in the frame. I'm also trying to shift the white balance and see what it does here, but I don't want to go overboard either. It's very easy to over-edit a picture and make it look rather unnatural. What I also want to do is add a linear gradient mask. Deselect the horse so the changes only apply to the foreground, and then softly darken it, which will create a contrast, again helping the horse be the main subject, which is exactly what we want. Also, we're gonna add blur as usual. That's how we can get those 8x portrait shots. And then there's the before, and here's the after.